Hello, everyone. This is Dagmar, your spiritual healer and teacher. And today I want to share a little bit of my own personal story. And that is the story of my own personal spiritual journey as a healer or into becoming one in this lifetime and how it all began. So I was probably in my early 40s when I was really guided by spirit to move from California to Colorado. And I did. And I was even guided to a very specific town by means of, meeting a lady at Costco, asking her where's a good place to live. And out came, this is a great place to be. And that's where I went, and that's where I needed to be. It's amazing when you actually follow the guidance you're receiving, because we all receive guidance from everywhere, and it comes through other people. It comes through, things they say to you, or different signs you get, or sometimes it comes as your own message in your mind or a feeling you get. But anyway, so I came out to Colorado in about 2000, well, actually end of 2000. And unbeknownst to me, I was supposed to meet my twin flame in Colorado. But of course, I had no idea that that's what was in the works. So about 4 years, so 5 years later, I actually met my twin flame. And I didn't know at the time he was my twin flame. Also, my situation was such that I wasn't very connected to the spiritual world at the time. As far as professions, I did all sorts of stuff. I was in the computer industry for a while. I had my own business for a while. Then I got into cosmetology for a while. So I was all over the place. But throughout the entire time, I think that at some point I started really wondering, am I supposed to be doing something more? And I don't know what that more would be even, okay? I had absolutely no clue. And so in 2005, in Colorado, I met my twin flame. And initially, I didn't know he was my twin flame. I had the feeling that he was trouble. Okay. And interestingly enough, I first met him at a pub. And then as me and my friend were walking home from the pub, I saw him staring at me walking away, and I'm staring at him thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this dude spells like trouble, like nothing else. And this is a good time this is a good person to stay away from, in other words, okay? That was my initial thought of him. And then I met him a second time at Home Depot. And all of a sudden, this guy in these shorts, and t-shirt ran up to me. It was summertime. And he runs up to me and picks me up, throws me up in the air, and catches me on the way down and says to me, do you remember who I am? And I was like, yeah, I just met you the other day at the pub, right? But the question was so much deeper than I initially understood, because I knew him from so many other lifetimes, as it turns out, as I found out later as I went through my journey. But to make a long story short, the interaction that I had over the course of some time with him, at some point he really scared the living daylights out of me. And then he kept knocking on my bedroom window, 2 a.m. in the morning, drunk out of his ass. And I ended up calling the police on him a number of times. I even called the FBI, believe it. Like, what does this guy want from me? And I told him to stay away, And so it just became this energetic thing that I just didn't understand what was happening. And so at some point, a friend of mine, she suggested I go see a shaman. Well, at the time, I had no idea what a shaman even was, okay? I was so stuck in the 3D world of everything and so far removed from spiritual stuff that I had no clue what a shaman was. I was hoping, hey, if it's as bizarre as my situation, perhaps they meet and, will resolve things. So that's where I was coming from. I was a way different person back then. But I want to share this with you because the most important thing I did at that time was really to go see a shaman. Because what he did for me, I could have never done on my own or with anybody else. And it's because he understood the spiritual world. He understood how to ask the right questions. He understood healing. And he did some healings with me. And then, he really reconnected me with the spiritual world. And to the point, I worked with him for like probably a good year almost. And so throughout that time, one of the biggest things that I remember that was just really struck me is that, because we met like every 3 weeks, and it was like $140 a pop back then. So this is like 16 years ago. It was a lot of money for me. And there's no way I would have decided to do this unless there was some really important, like I had to figure this out, So, and I'm glad I did, because the shaman, he connected me, like I said, to the spiritual world. And by asking me the right questions and working with me, and, I started working with spirit, and I started discovering things. And the very thing that like really struck me in the workings with the shaman, that always in between our sessions, there would inevitably something happen that moved me forward, or, some realization I had, or something I discovered, or something shifted, and it was as a result of me actually going to see him every time. I knew that. I instinctively knew that. And it was fascinating because I started discovering some amazing things, and, even about my ancestry and about myself. And, interestingly enough, after I stopped working with him later, I actually got to the point with working with him where I suddenly started remembering my past lifetimes. And, the interesting thing is that he never addressed that portion with me. And I think it's because he was very in tuned into his spiritual, guidance. And I think that he instinctively knew that I was supposed to discover this on my own. And that was my journey. That may not be your journey, but that was my journey. But the most important part I can tell you, for those who are starting out, you just still learning, you're still healing. It is so important, if you're really serious about your journey, to get on board with somebody that has your best interest in mind, but also is a spiritual person that understands the spiritual world and has been there, done that, where they can properly guide you. Because, it's hard to do that on your own when you haven't been there for a while, or when disconnected from that world at the moment, or whatever the case may be. You need that guidance to set you in the right direction. It was the most important thing I did. I would have never discovered those things I discovered if I had not worked with the shaman, or he connected me to the spiritual world, for that matter. He educated me during the process. So I started really understanding certain things all of a sudden that I didn't understand before. And this is so critical in your own personal journey that you're on as a healer, trying to reconnect with that part of yourself. Even if you've been a healer in other lifetimes, I was a healer in many other lifetimes and a clairvoyant, but I still had to go through the educational portion to kind of bring things into my awareness, if you will, so that I could wrap my head around how to do things, how to be a healer, how, what does healing entail? You have to go through some kind of a learning, some kind of education with somebody that knows the ropes. You can't do it on your own. Hope that spirit will guide you with everything, because spirit guides you perhaps to the right person, but then it is up to you to act on that hunch, to act on that guidance, or to act on whatever the sign is you've been given or where you've been taken. And if you don't act on it, you're missing out, because your spirit is leading you into your divine bliss, into your divine destiny. You know, everybody that's showing up in your life, there is a reason for why they show up in your life. Okay. There is a reason why you're part of the Healers Change the World group, or why you're watching this video on YouTube. You know, there's a reason for that. Spirit has guided you to this point. What are you going to do with it? Okay. And so I just wanted to share this insight with you, because I know that a lot of you are floating around out there or struggling with stuff, especially the healing aspect of it. There's not a lot of good education on healing. Okay. But I do, and I don't want to brag about me, but I do have to say that I have some amazing wisdom around healing. And I've been in the practice of healing for the last 16 plus years. And I've witnessed some amazing miracles with people. And I've, you know, helped improve thousands of people's lives during that process. Okay, the modality I use and the wisdom with it, okay, is extremely powerful. All right, and it works very well. So amongst, you know, but there is a lot of charlatans out there, and you have to sometimes pick and choose. But again, you know, if you can connect with your spirit, with your spiritual guidance and your intuition, and allow that to guide you, it'll guide you always correctly. The only thing that ever goes wrong with that is either if you're not listening to it, or if you're not properly hearing it, you're not sure where you're getting the messages, because sometimes we get messages also from our ego back here. So, you know, our ego has a different thing in mind than our spirit. So spirit's all about thriving. Our ego is all about surviving, and it'll take you in a different direction. So quite often I find people are drawn to us to doing certain something, right, which is the right path, but then all of a sudden they talk themselves out of it because of fear, and that's your ego, see? And that's the wrong avenue, because you don't want to make decisions from fear. You want to go to thrive. Okay, spirit will always take care of you, but it's the ego talking that talks us into being afraid, not doing something we intuitively know we want to be doing. So anyway, I just wanted to give you this insight and the share of my own personal journey. I hope you take it to heart and find somebody to work with, find a mentor. And I'm definitely skilled to do that. I've got a program designed for you to be able to actually go through that kind of education and your own personal transformation and healing that will connect you very much to the spiritual world and help guide you into divine bliss. So if you're interested in that, let me know. A program is called 12-Month Alchemy for Healers, and it's very, very well designed and very inexpensive to participate in. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll leave the link below the video. And otherwise, I wish you a wonderful journey, and we'll be talking, I'm sure, soon again. Namaste. Love you guys.